boom, 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 boom. Oop. Hello. What's up, everybody?
Hey,
Welcome to the stream. How's everybody doing?
I'm sure everybody's doing great. Just holed
Nick.
up in their
Yeah,
homes,
dude.
just hanging out, getting that desk sitter kind of hump, on the computer, just like, oh, I wonder when my back hurts.
I mean, everyone's at home just watching Twitch all day. That's what I was doing.
Dude, amen, man. Once you start looking, you're in, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You're in.
So what's going on with you? How are you? How was your
Dude,
day?
I'm good. I'm good. My day was great. Living the quarantine lifestyle in terms of just sitting around the house trying to figure out what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps having a daughter that is relentless and wants to do things 24/7 until while she sleeps, because it's
Right.
like, let's go ride her scooter, let's go jump on the trampoline, let's go on a walk. So actually, it's kind of a good thing. She keeps me moving.
Yeah,
It's
same.
the Forager way. So
Yeah, so like we usually walk the dogs like once, maybe twice a day. They've been getting like 3 really long walks every day since this whole thing
nice.
started. So they're really enjoying it. I think the real MVPs are the dogs that are locked up all day. They are the ones that are enjoying this quarantine more than anyone.
Really, because you guys are home all day. They're like,
Yeah,
dude,
this is the best. I love the coronavirus.
like, yeah.
All
Well,
right.
that's cool.
Well, first of all, guys, thanks for coming in. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah,
For episode
appreciate it.
6 of Forager Fitness. We are super excited to come back with another episode. Um, Today we are going to be kind of carrying on from the last episode. We talked about the destiny and lifestyle and how kind of modern America, just modern world, has turned into a sedentary type lifestyle. So we're going to continue on that, continue to talk about the Forager ethos, as we call it, kind of why we have the beliefs that we do. That's how we'll
Hmm.
start. We're going to end today with talking about some things you can do to counteract some of these desk sitter lifestyle, this sedentary lifestyle type things, to hopefully help you guys kind of get better and not have so many ailments that could be affecting you just because you sit at a desk, which is a silly reason to not feel good all the time. So
Yeah, yeah.
we'll talk about that. So first and foremost, before we get started, guys, thank you. We have hit the 50 subscriber mark on YouTube, so that is huge. We're so excited to be able to bring the YouTube channel up to where it is. We've had a ton of followers on Twitch, so I want to go through those real quick. Hammer Smash, Little Flapjack, Lifter Amanda, Mickey Mello, God TXM,
Right.
Real Higi, and Hyde Hermit. Thank you guys so much for the follows on Twitch. That's much appreciated.
Appreciate it.
The live is obviously a little bit of a different feel than it is on YouTube, but it's all the same. So either way, however you're getting our info, we definitely appreciate it so much. So
Oh, yeah.
we'll get started. So Nick, we're kind of talking about how we got to our name. That's what we did talk about last time. We talked about how society has gotten to the point that it is now. So today we want to kind of continue on with our mindset into things and
Sure.
how you practice what you preach in regards to this ethos that we live by. So go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So just continuing on from last week, it's basically just like, I'm huge and I'm highly, I guess you could say, surgical or clinical in terms of when I see something that's kind of a little ate up in society, i.e., we're working all these stressful jobs, we're moving less, we're getting stressed out about menial tasks. I kind of look back and I'm like, where did we go wrong? What kind of where do we set off on a tangent that kind of got us this way? Because the thing is, there's a lot of there's a lot of good things nowadays. I mean, shoot, look at all these great innovations in technology that we have. I mean, I'm talking to you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm halfway across the country,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm streaming to the whole world. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
great. You can get that knowledge out there. But when I see things affecting, kind of like humans and stuff like that, I kind of wonder, I'm like, what's going on? And then that kind of merged with just a ton of the research that I do in reading in terms of like anthropological stuff, and hunter gatherer lifestyle, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, I'd read a book called Civilized to Death by Dr. Christopher Ryan, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We'll leave the link
I
in
know
the
one of,
description for that.
yeah. I know one of those names are like from Winnie the Pooh, but not that one. And um, and he did a bunch of research and read a bunch of books and kind of made this observation that it's like we've literally been kind of like civilized to death in terms of civilization ever since we went off on that tangent. It's been great with forever technological innovations and stuff like
Mm-hmm,
that, but
mm-hmm.
has been kind of a hindrance or kind of a negative to like our well-being.
Sure.
And with that being said, in light of what's going on right now, there's a passage in there that talked about, hunter-gatherers were in these small bands that were pretty much limited to the number 150, which is Dunbar's number.
Mm-hmm.
And Dunbar's number is about how many people you can kind of keep track of in a group socially
Mm-hmm.
at different levels. And, they fought no more than 150, and then they'd just be traveling around or at whatever area that they've been in. But it was actually primitive social distancing, because they had these bands that were far from each other. They didn't even really know other bands existed, and if they did get hit by some type of virus or something, it would affect just that band. All the other bands were spared. So social distancing, if you bring it back, does social distancing work? I've heard that, I've seen it on social media. Like, does it work?
Right.
And the thing is, if you look at the research and look at history, it does work.
Right.
And so this whole social distancing thing, it's definitely rooted in truth. It just, again, kind of incompatible a little bit with our society. We live so close together. We live in multiple level buildings, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just, and just like you said, society and civilization has changed. Now, like we talked about in the last episode, knowing what we know from how hunter-gatherers used to live, we can kind of be like, okay, use that. Oh, I see the social distancing staying away, only affecting a small amount of people. You can kind of use that evidence to make changes in the present. And that's kind of what we get at with our fitness kind of philosophy. And hunter-gatherers within those bands, they had to keep moving. The biggest thing for survival was movement.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody within the band was kind of slowing them down or something like that, they probably wouldn't let them hang around for a little bit. And so it's all about movement. It's all about getting the body moving, the survival of the band. And so that's really kind of how I equate it. It's kind of my motivation: stay moving to survive.
Yeah,
that's really what it is. We see a bunch of problems with not moving, i.e. desk sitters getting back pain. You see a bunch of people with chronic diseases, and it's just basically from lack of movement on top of eating calorie-laden foods that have absolutely no nutrients. And that's another story. But movement, just getting moving. That's why a lot of fitness stuff is just kind of evolving into, hey, let's just get you moving.
Right. So I feel like now it's even more in the spotlight. There's that meme going around of like, oh, you're either going to be the best shape of your life or you're going to be the worst shape of your life coming out of this quarantine. There's no in between, right? There's like, it's either one end or the other, right?
Okay.
So I feel like now, obviously it's just a joke, but I feel like now it's even more in the social eye of it's like, we are even more noticing how much we just kind of lounge around, right? It's because it's becoming such a in the forefront of our mind. It's because it's all over the news, it's all over everything. To where, let me move my camera here, guys. Bleep. Okay, to where now we can take that advantage of being like, okay, now I'm noticing what's happening right here.
Right.
I'm noticing that I'm sitting around. I'm noticing that I'm not being very active, and that could be our trigger to just get up and move, right? My philosophy has always been, I think ours as well, has been just do something, right? Doing something is better than just sitting. Okay.
Absolutely.
So in situations like this, where it's even more of a focal point where, okay, now I'm stuck in my house, I'm forced to be kind of stationary. There are still ways to be active, right? We can use this as an opportunity to, okay, I'm realizing that I'm probably not being as active as I normally am just by going to work, just by moving around, getting gas, going to the grocery store, things like that. I can't really do those things right now. But you can still go outside and, walk outside, right? You just can't go to places, right? I mean,
Absolutely, yeah.
ideally you shouldn't go to places, right? You can still go to the grocery store if you need food, things like that.
Yeah,
But you can
yeah.
still be like, okay, I'm being a lazy piece of shit. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna get up. I'm gonna put my shoes on. I'm just gonna walk my dog, or I'm gonna see how many steps I can do on
Yep.
my. You know what? And that actually brings me an idea. For anyone that's watching this, you can tag us. Tag us in your Instagram. Tag us in your tweets. I want to see that you guys are getting those steps in on your step meters. I want to see if you post it to me and you tag us at Coach Rob at Forager Nick. We will repost you because I want to see people getting out
Absolutely.
and taking advantage of those step meters. Try to set some PRs and steps just to be movement, just to be moving, to not sit around and do nothing, right? So we'll think of like an incentive to whoever shows us the most steps they can do. That'd be cool.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the name of the game. It just and it I'd love for everybody that's in quarantine or isolation, whatever they want to call it, to kind of just
Bubble
take
boy.
a step back, yeah, and realize, look all around you and see how much of this stuff is meant to just keep you busy and keep you occupied and prevent you from getting bored.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just look around your house. Look around, like, you got your TV, you got your phone, you probably got a tablet, all these other devices, or just these just things that are keep you from being bored. While that's great, boredom's also a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go walk, when you go run, when you go just do, like, when you exercise, actually, it's kind of a form of boredom, because you're out there, and I mean, any type of exercise, your mind is running, your mind's getting primed, and it's just like shaking. It's just like letting the dust settle. It's like really shaking something and leveling it out, and you get your priorities set. You get innovation. When you're bored, that's when creativity comes. Like when you're at, you know, it's happened to me. I know it's happened to you. I've been streaming. I've been just scrolling through my phone for like an hour, and I mean, I literally wasted an hour. Didn't create anything. Just looked at things, and that's just kind of conceptualize that. That's preventing you from getting out and moving. That's not a good thing. While I think these inventions are great, the thing is, put a limit on it.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, a lot of people have been putting like those self timers in their phone. Like once they reach like a certain amount of screen time, their phone shuts off. Besides, like obviously like text and like emergency phone and things like that. But like social media and other apps, like it gets shut off after a certain amount of time.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a tough thing. I think I would have trouble with that personally.
It is tough.
But it would be a tough transition. But I'm sure, I mean, for those people, I'm sure it's super. It's kind of like we talked about last time with that tomato timer.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing, right? It reminds you to like, okay, I think some of them give you like updates. So every 15 minutes, you're like, okay, I've done 15 minutes. I've gone 30 minutes. I've been on my phone for 45 minutes. Because sometimes you go through and you don't even realize how much time's passed by. Dude, I think that's the hardest part.
I look at my phone, 4 hours. Oof. Look at the clock. Look at your clock right now. 4 hours on that clock was gone. Are you kidding me? Like, what could I have done? That's 4 hours of time.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I think there's, again, it's a tough transition, and it's one of those things that you have to put small things in place to either first of all remind you, or just to kind of get the wheels in motion, because it's not going to be a complete overhaul of your lifestyle in a day from being speaking of posture, we talked about posture a lot last time. The worst posture on earth is when you're looking at your phone. Oh, there's nothing worse than just
chiropractor, orthopedic surgeon's nightmare, man.
No, that's their best friend. That's how they make money. Let's be real.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry. Sorry, I'm a medical profession that's got some heart.
Right.
Jesus.
No offense to anyone that's watching. We still love you.
No. We love you guys.
You're in the family. So I think if you can, set yourself some alarms on your phone, get the tomato timer on your computer if you're at work or working from your home, just simple things. And I think once one thing kind of becomes a habit, other things start to snowball, right? So once you begin to like, okay, every 30 minutes I'm going to take, I'm going to go for a walk around my house, just across the street and back, just to get up and moving. And again, I'm talking from work from home, just because everyone's kind of stuck in a certain, I'm just kind of using that as an example. once you start to do that, other things start to are much easier, right? So we talked about stretching and things like that. You can add that stuff in as you go. Once you
Oh
start to feel
yeah.
good and start to do things that are creating a habit, you can expand upon that. And I think that's the ticket. You gotta start slow. Make sure you have one thing in place. Add another thing. And you'll start to do things you don't even notice and not even part of your list, right? You'll just be doing them, which is
Yep. And
that's called a lifestyle change.
exactly. And I mean, you're touching on what we talk about. We've talked about in multiple episodes, dude. It's all a pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a pursuit. You're gonna want to implement things into your day. You're gonna want to implement things into your exercise regimen, and some things are gonna work, some things aren't. You got to figure that out, and then also you got to hang in there.
Mm.
You have to hang in there.
Be
Not only
persistent.
you're gonna exactly, not only you're gonna find things that work and things that don't. You're gonna find bad information, good information. It's what's out there. You just have to sift through it. You're the consumer. You're the person that has to figure all this out. But just stay in there,
Mm-hmm.
because the thing is, it's just like, it's like anything. You can never be 100% perfect at it, but it's definitely worth pursuing.
Definitely.
So just hang in there. Don't get irritated about things, and just really try to make these small changes and get on that pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing is starting.
Yep.
The hardest thing is starting and making that change, that daily change. For, say, you're sitting at a desk, getting up, stretching, just basically moving. Starting that and like actually making a conscious effort, you've done half the battle. It's just sticking in there.
Absolutely.
It's fun sticking in there.
Yeah, it is, because it's at the end of the day, it's once you get to the end, it's like, wow, I've really made a big change, because those are things that over time can change the way if you have aches and pains, if you have just issues with just being motivated, like those are easy fixes, easy changes that you can make to completely change your lifestyle, which is amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So kind of second half of today is going to be a crash course into how to counteract some of these ailments that your body goes through when you do sit at a desk for a long time. As we talked, I kind of mentioned it last time, and I kind of touched on what happens to your body in these types of scenarios, but I do want to recap it. This blue light on my mic is... Hello? Okay. I kind of want to touch on that again, just to kind of recap on that. So we talked about how when you are seated for a long time, your body goes through two basic different things, right? Your front side, your anterior side gets really tight and overactive, right?
Yeah.
Your back side, your posterior, so your back, glutes, hamstrings, everything gets underactive, because what's happening is your front side is contracting, and it's a passive contraction, especially through the hips and through the shoulders, right? Through that front chest. It's a passive contraction to where now your backside is not activated at all, right? It's completely shut down. Your low back, your glutes, your hamstrings are completely shut off to where they're not getting any kind of blood flow. They're not activated at all, right? So there's a few things, super easy things. We call them motor control type movements. Obviously, that's, or we'll start with the backside. So for the backside, we're talking about strengthening your back. It's obviously weak. It's underactive. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's what happens is your hips can kind of get tilted in and out of position. It can cause your back to be so weak that you just can't support your low back. That's why people have like low back pain, right? Your erectors are just not contracting. They're weak, right?
Yeah.
And then it kind of stems down into the hamstring. So, and then obviously the upper body, right? So you're tilted forward, you have that shoulder rounding, your upper back and your posterior side of your shoulders are really weak. So we want to strengthen all those things up, okay? So super simple for the lower half in terms of lower back, glute, and hamstrings. If it's someone that's not super active, maybe they're just kind of getting into working out. There's something called body bridges or glute bridges, right? So you're laying on your back, you're pushing your hips up to the sky, and trying to squeeze your glutes as hard as possible. We're going to be posting links in the bottom. I'm going to be posting links in the description to YouTube videos to show you these things. So the first one I'm going to add. So look for that. I'm going to post. These are people that that I trust. They're just simple explanations of what we're talking about. It'll be a super easy resource for you guys to find these things. So first thing is a glute bridge, right? That's to help strengthen your hamstrings, your glutes, your lower back, right? So there's a ton of different ways to do that. You can do it with the one leg, two legs.
Yeah.
You can hold it. You can do it for reps. You can do it for, you can add weight with, hip extensions and things like that. A little bit more advanced, obviously. That's more for like strength athletes that are trying to, build up their backside. But at the beginning, just to kind of get started, the glute bridge is an amazing, amazing exercise.
Yeah, the glute bridge is great, and also just to caveat on that, doing the single leg isolation ones will actually can give you some insight as to if you have a weaker posterior chain on one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Most
really
people
have some
do,
stuff
and most
going
people
on,
do. So if you find it, don't be
yeah,
alarmed because that's pretty normal. But
and
as you do, go ahead.
yeah, just that's something you could target, and maybe it could be something that could cue you into why you're having problems. If you're that weak on that side, could be an imbalance. So play with both, and that glute bridge, that's something I do daily whenever I deadlift, squat, clean. It's just a great glute and hamstring activator.
Absolutely.
Highly recommend.
Big time. The next one is kind of so when I work with any kind of body part or with your body, whether it be rehab, prehab, or actually exercise, I usually work from the ground up. So whenever I'm explaining something, you always hear me go from like your legs all the way up to the top, right? So the next one is going to be your low back, and that's going to be coming from a back extension. Okay. Now back extensions are, like I said, a little bit more advanced. You do need more of a exercise equipment, which no one really has right now since all the gyms are closed. But when you do get back to it, obviously you're still going to be at a desk job, so that's not going to change. So when you do get back to the gym, a back extension machine is going to be one that you should be using 2-3 times a week, right? Just to kind of counteract some of these things that are happening. And that's, if you have ever seen people, you're kind of at an angle. Your body bends down. This is your back. Your butt's kind of up in the air. You're just going to get yourself back up to straight and back down. Nice controlled movement. Nothing crazy. Again, we'll have links in the description for all the movements that I'm talking about.
Right.
But that's the back extension. Okay. Again, moving up. So anything to add on that? It's pretty simple on the back extension.
No, just hinge at the hips, and that actually shows you, I use that exercise to actually show my any type of athlete or soldier that I'm working with to show good actual hip hinge mechanics, because you can feel the hip hinge very well on the back extension. You can feel how you can actually hinge at your hip, keep your back braced, and then come back up. And so it's actually a pretty innovative way to show how to effectively hip hinge. So definitely tackle that one for sure.
Big time. And then moving up to upper back and shoulders, there's 2 different ones that I like to implement for people just to kind of get started. And one of them is just a simple row, right? You can use it on the cable machine. You can do it with a bent over row and a barbell. You can do it with a dumbbell, single arm, things like that off the bench. Again, another easy one. It's a pulling motion, right? So you're nice and braced, your chest is up nice and tall, your back's pinched, and you're just pulling straight back. Okay, keeping your shoulders down, everything in line, and just pulling straight back. And that's literally just to strengthen those upper back muscles to kind of counteract that motion of wanting to roll forward, right? You're pulling yourself back.
Yeah.
The next one is a super simple motor control exercise. You can do it on the ground. I like to do it on like a exercise ball, one of those big blow up ones. It's awesome for that. You can do it with just body weight. You can add weight if you want, but it's a YTA, right? So it's literally just you're on the ground or on the ball, right? I'm gonna do 10 reps in a Y position with my thumbs up. I'm gonna come up in a T position with my thumbs up, and then I'm gonna turn my wrist around, and I'm gonna do 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's a really easy one. I used it for a client of mine. We did them every single time I saw him. He was a client of mine who had his shoulder blades were out of line. He claimed that his doctor had told him that he had a frozen shoulder and it would never be fixed without surgery.
No.
I fixed, so it was like this, like one shoulder blade was up higher than the other.
Really?
And just by doing motor control exercises and strengthening his back, I got them to move back into place and to, like, he couldn't pinch his shoulder blades, right? It would have just stuck right here.
Oh,
not
geez.
Not only did I get him to come back in line, but I also got them to be able to pinch again, right? So he was able to brace his body correctly and do a lot of movements that was just impossible for him to do correctly before. Yeah, that was a cool one. That was one of my cool ones. So these things do work not only for just getting strong, but also for fixing different ailments that you might have just developed over time. And his literally was just because he was a computer guy. He was an older fella, you know, he was in his 50s, 60s at the time. He'd worked with computers since the dawn of computers, and it was just his mouse arm. It was because his mouse arm was on that spot. So that's why it won raised, because he was always like this on his mouse with his shoulder up, right?
For real?
So it got, yeah. So that one got stuck up like that, and it had been like that for 5 years.
Who knows? Yeah.
So the doctors told him that it was the only way to fix it was through surgery, and we fixed it through just muscle strengthening and fixing it like proper positions.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's a common theme, but
Yeah.
yeah, but that's amazing because I mean, getting to that point too, not only bringing them aligned, but the ability to pinch is huge for your shoulder health. Huge, because I mean, the rolling forward of the shoulder is it leads to some of the most anterior like shoulder injuries that I always see when they come into the ER. Like, oh, the front of my shoulder hurts, and it's just because they're totally rolled over. And you know, you can test this and test the you can get some shoulder relief when you're doing like a bench press or like even a push-up. When you get your scapulas pushed down or together and down, go ahead and bench press in that position. Have them pinned against the bench. You'll feel just stable, less pain, and you'll just be able to actually get a better mechanical advantage. So
yeah. So that's kind of it. That's kind of all I had for just to kind of get started to, you know, getting a good thing. So what I would recommend on these things is if you're an exercise person, I would add these in to almost every one of your sessions before you start. Add it to your warm up and possibly to your cool down. These are only things that you can't do these things too much, right? It's not one of those things that you can hammer home, right? Just do a moderate amount of reps. I would say just 10 reps on each. Back extension, maybe a little bit more. But these are literally just things that you want to do over time. It's not something that you want to just kill, right, until you're dead. You just want to add them in, make sure you're doing something to assist in those things. It doesn't take much, right? It's just, they're small muscles. Just work with them as you will. That's kind of the strengthening portion. So now we're going to be moving to the front side, which is where your body becomes more overactive through being in that contracted position all day. Your chest is contracted from pulling forward. Your hips are contracted from being in a seated position all day, right? It's just everything's pulling. So starting off with at the bottom is your quad, right? That's your front of your thigh. There's 4 pieces of that. That's why they call it a quadricep. That becomes super tight just by being seated all day, right? So one thing I add into my mobility sessions almost every time, because I am a desk sitter. I sit at a desk for 8 hours a day. I can't avoid it, right? I do have a stand-up desk, but I do it intermittently, right? But the quad, right? The quad stretch is going to be huge. So I do a lying on my back quad stretch, just one at a time, right? So I'm laying on my back. I'm pulling my heel to my butt, and I'm just going to slowly lay myself back and stretch that quad, right?
Nice.
I try to do this while I'm still warm. So for me, I do it like post session or after I've just walked my dogs or something, just to where I've been a little bit active, to have some blood flow through that area, to not. If you stretch a cold muscle, it's more likely to pull or strain or something like that. We don't want to avoid injuries. That's the whole point of this. So while you're trying to fix from injuries, don't get injured. That's like super counterproductive.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing with warming up and stuff. Right. I mean, if you go right into stretching, you could pull something. Well, a good physical therapist I worked with once told me motion is lotion. So like getting moving, getting that joint moving, and even just the muscles, they're going to be more receptive to stretching, and you're going to have a less chance of getting injured. So
yeah, absolutely.
Motion is lotion, people.
That's a good one.
Right?
I like that
it's
a lot.
Not mine, but maybe we'll hashtag.
We'll take credit.
I
don't care. I'm taking credit for
motion is lotion. All right. Yeah, she didn't write a book or anything. We can take that.
So moving up the line, so quad stretch, I'm attacking my hip flexors. Now hip flexors, I feel like for me personally, that is the one that gets the tightest, like the worst, right? It's the most heinous. It's the one I get injured more often than anything if I don't take care of it.
Son of a bitch,
it's a
man.
little fella,
they're
right?
These little
We just talked about that during a previous episode that I had a really pretty bad hip flexor pull or strain.
Yeah.
I never actually went to I had our friend Shannon, who I mentioned, she gave me some things to work on for it.
Holler.
I can report that it is better. I snatched, clean and jerk, squatted today with no pain. So I'm really happy about that. In the garage gym here at my house, it was awesome.
Garage gym for the save.
Yeah.
For the win.
So yeah, hip flexor is going to be huge, and I honestly think that I heard it because of my. You good?
Yeah.
Because of my desk sitting and because I wasn't taking care of it like I used to. I honestly think that's why I got injured. It was the bottom of a heavy back squat. I mean, I asked for it, right? So yeah, the one stretch that I'm always going to recommend to everyone is a coach's stretch. Now, a coach's stretch is it's a little more intense. There's ways to back off from it. There's ways to scale up and scale down if it's too intense. It's hard to explain per se. You're in kind of a lunge. And you're kind of throwing your hips forward. This is the one that why I thought of putting the links in the description, because it is hard to explain. But I have a YouTube video that I'm going to post from someone that I trust. That's someone I think that gives a good explanation that will explain it with visuals until we get our channel uploaded with our recommendations for movements, which is coming.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
And then last one, moving up. So you obviously your abs, your everything interior is gonna be tight, right? So there's a common stretch in yoga. It's called I call it a seal stretch. I'm not sure what the actual term is, but you're literally just laying on your belly, right? You're gonna push your arms into the ground like a push up, and I'm gonna try to keep my hips anchored to the ground, and I'm just gonna lift. Anyone that's done yoga knows this one. It's a pretty common one. We'll have to figure out the official name for that, but I call it a seal stretch.
Seal.
I'm just trying to stretch up my abs, and I can kind of move back and forth to change the location of where that stretch is being felt. And it's an awesome one. It's the one that you can just kind of hang out in. It kind of alleviates a lot of tension. I feel like you're kind of pulling yourself apart, right? That I love stretching my front side, my belly area. It's one of the best feeling stretches that you do.
You stretch that belly. You stretch it.
Yeah. Whatever's gonna make it smaller, I'm cool with it.
You get in there, big hoss. You get in there.
So last one that I'm going to kind of go over today is that top part, right? So we talked about the rolled shoulders. That's a common one. So as you're strengthening your back, you also want to mobilize and lengthen the front to make it less tight, so your body can comfortably get into positions. Because here's what happens, right? So this is the one that's probably the most common in this scenario. But when you have a tight front, right, and people are trying to just actively work on their posture just by sitting up straight, just doing that in itself is not going to help you, right? It's going to help to a certain extent, but you're going to feel more tired and more exhausted, because man, this is hard to sit like this all day. You know why? It's because your front side is still so tight that it's pulling you back forward, and it's trying to pull you back into bad positions. So if we can not only strengthen the backside, actively put ourselves in good posture as we sit at our desk all day and have ergonomically set up, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
You also have to stretch the front, or else your body's always going to want to pull you back to what it's most comfortable with, right? And at this point, it's usually bad. It's that bad position that your body constantly wants to get back to. So, as we digress, the last one is a doorway stretch. This is for my chest and my anterior side of my shoulder. It's super, super simple. No equipment is needed besides just your house. I'm just going to put my arm up. I want my elbow to be over my shoulder, because my chest muscles, like that, the individual muscle fibers, they come up this way, right? It's not a direct this way. It's come up towards there. So I want to continue that line. Okay. So I'm going to have my elbow above my shoulder. I'm going to push this part of my arm into the door jamb of my doorway. I could demo it, but I'm not going to get up. And I'm just going to open, right? I'm just going to have my door, and I'm just going to push myself through and try to stretch this area. And this is one you can hold for, you can do it all positions. You can do it straight on, you can do it here, and you can keep going up until just kind of get different angles of that muscle. To strengthen or to stretch out that chest, right? I do this. I still do this all the time. I played baseball in college, high school, all through my life, so my shoulders are an issue for me. So continuing to strengthen my shoulders and my upper back and loosening my front. For us baseball players, everything is pulled this way, right? So everything on this side is constantly pulling. So my right shoulder has been a nemesis with me through my lifting and CrossFit career. So this is one that I still do on a pretty daily basis. And it's huge for getting a good posture.
Yep. No, that's good. That stuff physical therapists will give you for shoulder rehab for sure. Like, it's just because it targets it so good. It's like, and it does. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't require any equipment. It really, and the thing is, it doesn't take very much. Once you get there and
you'll feel it.
You're just like, whoa. Yep. And you just hang out there for a couple minutes, 2 minutes after you see tissue change. And then just let it, and it's pretty passive. Like, you're just kind of sitting in there and just enjoying the ride. So definitely something I'd advocate for sure.
Absolutely. But that's all I got. There's obviously so much more. I mean, people have written books about mobility for these type of things. A lot of my ideals come from Kelly Starrett, Supple Leopard, Deathbound. A lot of his books have been a lot of what my ideals come from. So there's so much content that can be put out. We just don't have the time or the resources to do all that. But I mean, that's where questions come in, and that's what we're here for. We want to answer questions both here on Twitch, if you're here in the chat, on YouTube in the comments. We've had awesome comments that we've been able to get through. People asking questions. I saw you had a conversation with someone on one of the YouTube questions, which was great. That's exactly what we're here for. We also have our email. If you have questions about how to implement these things into your program, you can email me. I'm always available to answer questions about programming and movement standards and movement critiques and things like that. I'm always helping with that. A lot of the emails that we get, I forward them to Nick to get both of our opinions on it. So
totally,
we're a team here, and we want to make sure that we get the best content out for you guys as best as possible, answer your guys' questions. So that's all I had. Nick, anything you want to add?
Nope, just a big thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Spread the word. Let's get if we could, we just kind of want to get it out there so we can make more stuff.
Yep.
Which includes, checking out the blog, checking out the YouTube, and following us on Twitch. It helps a lot. And just thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Like, you guys are letting us do this and tuning in and making it happen. So just a big thanks to you guys. And there's more to come. There's so much more free stuff that we're gonna be giving out, and just put it out there for everybody, because all this stuff you're entitled to. It's all yours, and it's all your innate health tools. Like, it really is. So we're just excited to bring this to you. That's really it.
Absolutely. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, so you're notified when we do upload, which is usually right after the episodes or the next morning. If you're on Twitch here, hit that follow button and hit the notification turned on so that you know when we're going live. You can tune in right when we start. Other than that, thank you guys so much. If you have questions, email us, shoot us a question on YouTube, and we will be sure to answer it promptly.
Yeah, and if someone can tell me what's up with this 10 push-up challenge thing, I've nominations. What is it?
Dude, I'm kind of sad that I haven't been nominated.
No, I got you.
I don't even care anymore. 5. I don't even care anymore. Don't even worry.
I have 5 left to Literally, I seriously had 7 today. 7 of them. And I'm like,
Mr. Popular.
But that's 70 push-ups, dude. I took the last PT test, my last APFT 2 days ago. I'm done, bro. I'm done. All right.
All right, guys. We'll catch you later. Catch you next week for the next episode of Forager Fitness. Peace.
Later.